Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video is season 2, episode 9, entitled C.R.E.A.M. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the mini marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. There's directorial symbolism as Bobby plays chess with the past version of himself as Prince Raheem. They're evaluating the debate of short money and long money decisions. Raheem argues that just because there's a name change doesn't guarantee an album release. But RZA says that long money decisions give them freedom. Checkmate. Before continuing the gloat of a good chess game, the old version of himself reminds RZA that the loss of a solo deal was one thing, but now he has the fate of several others in his hand. Bobby, Power, and Vine speak with the label executive. He loves the song Protect Your Neck and that it doesn't have a hook. It breaks all the rules. When RZA mentions the possibilities of an album, the exec glares over the answer by complimenting how creative RZA is, how prepared they are, their artwork, and their independent sales. He offers a specialty made samurai sword with a special inscription, $100,000. Power and Vine are impressed with all the zeros, but Bobby isn't. He's not impressed with the fancy lingo. He mentions that the exec didn't even fully answer any of his questions. The fellas want Bobby to chill as they still have a meeting with Def Jam. Steve has been paging Vine all day, but he has no call return. Rich says that he got a word that they just left Mr. Chow's in a meeting with you-know-who. Steve is upset that they don't have the money to make certain moves. Rich reminds him that they can't break the bank before they get started. They signed Madcap, which paid $30,000 to the alcoholics. They can't blow the rest of their budget. Does that mean that they want to make a bet on Wu-Tang? Steve just needs 10 minutes to meet with them. Gladly, the receptionist has an idea of where they're recording. C.R.E.A. and Dennis take a moment to catch up, and she's applying to Bay Video, where Nita can give her a hookup. She wants her own independence and wants to contribute financially. Their place of residence is surrounded by slangers, but Dennis is confident that they'll get a deal soon. Meanwhile, U-God is still hustling. Everyone preps for more recording at the studio, and Bobby suggests replacing the Gigani verse with 16 from the Lifestyle to Mega Rich. Spec doesn't agree. How can they flow about such a concept and they're all mega broke? Instead, he suggests something he wrote while he was locked up, about how after all these years he's still struggling and in survival mode. RZA and the rest of the fellas love the idea and change. Before they get into the booth, Steve Rifkin arrives. Bobby remembers him and agrees to have a brief meeting. Steve gets straight to the point. He explains that they're interested in Wu-Tang. They're not A&Rs. They've managed and marketed some of the best artists in the game before starting his own label with Loud Records. Now they have the Alcoholics on the West, Twista from the Midwest, and Wu-Tang can represent the East. They're young and hungry. They want Loud to be the house that Wu-Tang built. Vine is flattered by their drive, but says that they have a meeting with other big wigs, more established labels with bigger budgets who've made history with artists. They'll keep them in mind, though. After the meeting, Steve tells Rich that we need to get more money. Steve and his other acquaintances from Loud Records meet with Skip Miller from RCA. Steve stresses that they need more money. Wu-Tang already has a 6-figure bid on the table and has several other meetings pending with other major record labels, which means higher offers. Skip says that he likes his dad and that they've made their mark in the industry. Unlike them, Steve unfortunately doesn't have a track record. Skip is taking a chance on Loud Records, but even Risk have their limits. Steve keeps it real and says that he has valid points, but the truth is RCA is in the red, and Wu-Tang can pull them out of it. He understands Skips doesn't get hip-hop, but the company was built on American grassroots music, people playing banjos and blowing into glass jugs. Hip-hop is the new version of success. Wu-Tang can do what Elvis did in 1956. He wants Skip to consider being on the right side of history. Skip loves his argument, but says no. Sha returns home only to see that there's an eviction notice on the door. He's upset she didn't say anything, but she hid it from him because she didn't want to tell him. She was behind on the rent and she didn't want him to return to the streets. The neighbors have offered a place of residence until they get back on their feet, but Sha is so pissed that he punches the door, telling her that he's about to get what they need in order to get their spot back. Sha goes to the studio and rants to Power. He says that it's always something. When you're on the straight and narrow, things never seem to go right and you never have enough money. And when you're slang, that's not any better. Power wants Sha to put all of that anger and energy in the booth. And it's always about the money. He wants Sha to listen to Speck's verse for inspiration. The words incite fire in Sha. Deeply, he feels and relates to every single word. Vine gets home and notices C.R.E.A.M making lemonade. He tells her that I know the living situation is tight with everyone in one house, but things will get better. Just as he says that, a parole officer arrives. He wants to know that he hasn't worked at the construction site and wants to see his pay stub that correlates with his parole. Vine lets him know that he has a new business endeavor with an independent label, but the cop wants to see a stub instead. He hears the same old from people who are in the rap game, but if he doesn't see a pay stub soon, he'll be forced to violate Vine, which will send him back to jail. Steve and Rich are surprised that they're not all fired for taking such a bold stance against Skip. Mojo has some good news though. There's a BMG retreat where the whole company is going. All BMG subsidiaries, even BMG CEO Christoph Rainer, will be there. Maybe Rain will love the passion that he has for Wu-Tang. Sha and Speck are excited that they dropped some hot verses for Lifestyle, and Bobby wants to hear it. As Sha starts to spit his verse for Bobby, they hear a knock at the door. It's C.R.E.A.M. Bobby is upset that she's interrupted their focus, and plus Dennis isn't even there. C.R.E.A.M tells Bobby to stop coming at her with such negative energy, and she understands that she would not interrupt only if there was an emergency, and she has one. Money is tight, and she's afraid that Dennis will return to his old ways. Money is tight, and she's afraid. Bobby apologizes that there's no money coming in, but has confidence that they'll get a deal soon. Bobby, Vine, and Power meet with A&R Rubin from Elektra Records. Rubin believes that Wu-Tang is the vanguard of their own movement, and Elektra wants to be a part of that movement. He guarantees an album release, and he can even get it in writing. The members can even get a check before they leave for $200,000. There's only one thing that needs to be changed: their image. They need to discuss their representation. They need to be street, but not too street. Maybe a more unified look. Some dancers? They need to focus on being the biggest rap group in the game. He points to Power's shoes, which are Jordans. Middle America loves Michael Jordan because of his image. He makes more money selling shoes than basketball. He's cool, authentic, but he's not threatening. After the meeting, Bobby and Vine debate how Elektra wants Wu-Tang to get a teen image. But before they know it, they turn their head and Bobby's gone. He takes off, and there's a directorial representation of the old Bobby, RZA, and Prince Raheem. Prince Raheem makes some good chess moves when he argues about money and how money is needed now. RZA says that now is ducktail mate, which refers to the ducktail part of a coat that Prince Raheem wore in the video, an attire he never wanted. Prince Raheem taunts that maybe RZA is too smart for his own good. $200,000 is a lot of money for the group. Now it's time for the meeting with Def Jam. Tracy envisions not just selling gold, but millions. She doesn't have any reservations about their image and wants an album release in the fourth quarter, which is the biggest quarter. They even have ideas of putting out ODB and Method Man as later solo artists. They'll release Method next summer so Meth doesn't step on Wu-Tang and vice versa. Of course, that's only if Meth signs with Def Jam. Tracy further clarifies that if Wu-Tang Productions signs with Def Jam, then Meth is on Def Jam. If they utilize their time and resources to make people stars, Def Jam should benefit from putting out the projects as well. It's our understanding that all of the members are signed to Wu-Tang Productions, so why wouldn't it be the same for Def Jam? RZA puts his foot down. Bottom line, if you're signing Wu-Tang, you get them as a group, not as solo artists. Period. After the meeting, Power is livid about what Bobby said, but Bobby brings Power back to earth with contract verbiage. The solo rights belong to Wu-Tang Productions. They cannot give them to Def Jam. Wu-Tang Productions have got to call all the shots and protect the solo artist. Vine wants Bobby to slow down with all this solo artist talk. They've got to focus first on the group being signed. Bobby clarifies using an analogy. As a group, they're coming out of the same spot, one by one at a time. Say Meth's album doesn't hit. They're not going to give us money for any other solo deals. Next thing you know, Dirty doesn't have a release date. They can't afford to put everything in one pot. If they play this game, they've got to play on multiple boards, doubling down and knowing when to strike. He understands everyone is broke, but there's a better, bigger picture and a plan. Bobby meets with Steve, but Bobby lets him know that he's pressed for time. He has to return to the studio. Steve lets him know under pressure time that BMG is a parent company of Loud, and they're having a corporate retreat. Steve believes that if they perform, they can convince his bosses to get them the money that they need. Bobby says that he applauds his drive, but understands that it comes to business. They need money, and the idea that he has is just an idea. His crew is hurting now, and they can't hold out any longer. Bobby wants his crew also to have the freedom that they need to make choices, even as solo artists, to make their own money. Steve says one last time that they need them to perform to convince his bosses to get them the money that they need and to give them full creative control and freedom. When Bobby goes back to the studio, he observes everyone's behavior. Ghost is still MIA. Shy talks about how he's talking to labels and at the studio but doesn't have a problem snatching somebody's chain. And U-God gets an unexpected dope delivery at the studio. Bobby gets everybody's attention and plays the track. He feels the song needs a hook. This time, it's not like Protect Your Neck. They need a hook. Meth arrives and Bobby says that they need a hook, something melodic. Meth steps into the booth and raps, "Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all." And that's it. The glorified hook. Dennis arrives and Bobby encourages him to stay strong. They'll get signed soon. But that's easier said than done. Dennis needs money and food on the table. Bobby tells everybody that there's one more meeting and that every label has their own process. This time they need to do a showcase performance. The fellas are upset and frustrated because they're not getting paid. Bobby just tells them, "Give me one night." Now at the conference in Connecticut, Wu-Tang meets with Christoph Rainer, head of RCA. Christoph is a big fan of R&B and says that he loves it. And Steven discreetly tells Bobby, "Don't worry about Christoph's comments. Just have a good performance." Wu-Tang gathers on stage and it's a crowd of German elders. And it's so quiet you can hear a pin drop. ODB takes the mic from Bobby and starts to sing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," and the crowd begins to laugh. RZA takes the mic quickly from Dirty and introduces Method Man to start C.R.E.A.M. Bobby talks to GZA, and he's curious as to why he hasn't complained nor inquired about the status of a deal. But GZA tells him that he's been there before and knows how it is. He's fine doing messenger work and know what it means to starve and eat steak. Steve reports that they loved the performance and now he'll work out the specifics with Power, Christoph, and Vine. In the meantime, Steve offers rooms to the fellas to let loose and chill. Even some of the hotel staff workers join the party. Meth decides to go back to his room because he's not feeling well after something he ate. And Dennis leaves the room but to scope potential suckers to rob. He goes into a room and takes a necklace. The other guys make jokes and go from room to room and even take a fire extinguisher into Meth's room. U-God and Bobby meet in the hallway, and Bobby wants U-God to stop hustling and make a decision: the streets or music. You-God goes to his car to get a re-up package, and as he does, the cops nearby tell him to put his hands up. Christoph rips into Steve about how they damaged the hotels, and gladly the hotel isn't pressing any vandalism charges. He tells him that he cannot increase his budget, that he has what he has, and the group's actions are out of line. He tells him that he's not giving him another dime, and Bobby overhears the argument. As Steve tries to cool off the situation, Jizza politely interrupts with the unfortunate news that U-God has been arrested. Dennis returns home with a stack of cash, saying that he sold something nice. C.R.E.A.M is hesitant about the money, but they have no choice. They need food for the baby. Bobby shares with Vaughn and Power that Loud is offering only $60,000. But Power's just like, I can make more than that in a week, probably less than that slanging. Vaughn and Power are pissed and are in disbelief at such an offer. To make matters worse, Elektra has pulled their offer off the table. They heard about the guys trashing the hotel and U-God getting arrested. They already had reservations about their image. Elektra is owned by Warner Brothers, which is a public traded company. Def Jam is still on the table, but they can pull their offer as well. They have to make a decision. It's back to the chessboard. $200K gone, but RZA isn't afraid of strategy or winning the game. Finally, RZA sits down with his young self and he teaches that when you approach the chessboard, you start not showing any fear to your opponent. The way you start is how you finish. Think about the future. We want Wu-Tang to last forever. Everyone is in the studio and RZA slowly walks in and says to everybody, we just signed to Loud. And Vine says, what the and before he can finish his sentence, that is the end of the episode. Another amazing episode. And now it is time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. Amazing writing. Let me tell you, the writing is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to this series. You can understand why this series has been Emmy nominated. Hopefully this go round, they pick up a few Emmys and take them home. The mastermind of chess, moving in unison. But in this case, Bobby has made his own decision and made a gut decision, right? As a Wu-Tang fan, we know what's next. I mean, we know what's coming with the label and who does what and what changes, but I don't want to spoil for non-Wu-Tang fans what actually happens because I want to keep the excitement for people who are watching. Now, sometimes decisions are made by the pull of your gut, right? Gut intuitions sometimes don't need, any explanation. Sometimes you can't understand or know why you're feeling a certain way. You say, or you hear people say, oh, I have a gut feeling, or I have this. I mean, depending on what your beliefs are, what your morals are, you can have the conclusion that this is your consciousness and getting receptions and words and thoughts from spiritual beings or movements and vibrations of the earth, however you want to explain it. Okay. However you want to explain it. Everybody has the gift of gut thoughts and intuition, right? And feeling certain things and moving certain ways. Sometimes it's not all about business strategy. Sometimes it's about that gut feeling. And everybody on a pivotal moment to their career has those gut feelings. I'll give you a perfect example, something that has absolutely nothing to do with Wu-Tang, okay? So In Living Color, when we're talking about Keenen Ivory Wayans and a lot of the greats that were on that show, the developments of In Living Color, the production, how it ended up on a certain channel, Keenen Ivory Wayans talked about a lot of those moments and a lot of those decisions at the last minute were gut decisions. Keenen explains how him and I forgot the other person, but they had an intuition and a thought to just go to a comedy club and to see if they could just see new talent and fresh faces. It's the same night that Jim Carrey had a gut feeling that I need to go to this open mic tonight and just lay my cards out on the table. Jim Carrey was on the verge of eviction. He had no money, and he just said, you know what? It doesn't matter. Let me just go to this open mic. I don't care if it's 2 people there. I'm going to do all the impressions I know. And I'm going to tell so many jokes, and I'm going to do so many impressions that when I get through with my performance, I would have just spilled out all of my talent on the stage. It just so happens that the night that Jim Carrey did this, that Keenen Ivory Wayans and a very important counterpart were in the audience, and they were in that same audience. Call it what you want. Sometimes those stars align and things happen, and you can't explain them, but they just happen. And also, we're pulled into deeper now with this episode of how decisions are made when it comes to labels. They have certain numbers, 100,000, 200,000. We have this right over that. We're promoting you. We take control of this. We have the rights over that. All of those things, and so many artists. I can't even imagine. Okay, how many artists were slept on, okay, when it comes to talent, because they didn't want to take that deal, and offers are being pulled off the table. And I can't even imagine how different careers would be if labels didn't take advantage of artists and suck them dry when it comes to what they were owed. You hear a lot of artists now, right? It's 2021 and people saying that they're just now getting the masters to their own music, or they're re-recording albums they've gained their masters now, and now they want to get a profit from an album that's old as I don't know what. Ashanti, as a matter of fact, this year says that she owns a lot of the things now with her music in different ways, and she's going to re-record her first album, all in order to have, right, full ownership when it comes to profit. Okay, so these things are chess, not checkers, when it comes to ownership. Things are changing. Too many artists have been taken advantage of. And then you have some artists, okay, this goes back to record labels and all the way leading up to now. Some artists want to just take that chance. They need that money. They don't care. They want their money. If they crash and burn in the end, whatever, at least they got a taste of some sort of financial something, okay, coming from nothing. And a lot of people do that. And you see the unsung stories, or you see the documentaries about where are they now? What happened? And how come this person has three albums, but they live with their parents? What happened? Contracts, things that are not discussed, things that are overlooked, things that are done in desperation. And then we have greedy, shady contracts from a lot of the labels. Now, Tracy from Def Jam says, hey, we're going to cut you this deal. We want to take you far, but we already have plans for, not just the group, but solo artists. We already want them to have solo albums, right? Next summer. Okay. And when you think about that, you have the what ifs of that. If they take off and then the others are left behind, then what is Wu-Tang? What's the point, right? Also, Wu-Tang Productions, they're trying to develop that as their own entity. So why are we going to move backwards in creating our own symbol, which is our design, creating our own independent label? So why would we do all of that hard work with the blood, sweat, and tears when we have a major record label that would profit from it? It's logical. It makes sense. But a lot of those times they take advantage of people who are hungry, who are ready, who are just ready to sign on the dotted line. And they're not thinking about the future. The key line that RZA says to his younger self, it's about Wu-Tang forever. It's about constantly making a profit and constantly having money in the bank and constantly getting residuals on things, right? Because today he could easily, have an Oreo commercial, or anybody and put it, a piece of the Wu-Tang song, and they would make a profit on it because they own it. It's a lot of that stuff that you have to think about when it comes to ownership, patience, and what makes the most sense in the long run. And him having that previous deal, right? And GZA having his previous deal, and they know the shadiness of it all, and him telling Bobby, hey, I've been there. I've been from starving to steak, so I get it. So, I mean, what's the point in asking you about it when this is all a process? I mean, what am I going to say or do that's going to make things speed up? I mean, nothing, And then they're looking at, what's best. My next point, passion. When you follow your passion, it doesn't matter how fatigued you are. It doesn't matter how broke you are. There's something in you that's saying you can do it. And those struggles are something that keep you going. If you're fighting through all of that and you're trying to get through all of that, it's clearly your passion, because passion is what will get you to that point. And passion is what drags you through the mud, and pulls you through the mud. The mud is only temporary. So dealing with it and understanding with it is understanding your passion. Let's talk about representation and mistakes. In this episode, we see that they're thinking they're just having fun, goofing around, trashing the hotel. Dennis is breaking in the door, all this other stuff. They're not thinking about who's watching. In this process, you have everybody looking at you, whether you notice it or not. You're under a microscope. That's why you always hear that saying, you never know who's watching, because somebody's always watching. With social media, I know they even have apps to where you can see who's watching you or who hasn't subscribed or who's following you on Instagram but it's not following you. Why is that so important for you to see who's watching? Right? Why is it so important for you to know that? It's very important when it comes to business, right? Personally, I don't think it's a big deal. But when it comes to business, it's always somebody watching. There's always eyes. There's always somebody observing you. You don't know your own potential, and somebody could already see the potential in you. So it's always somebody watching. And you've got to think about how your actions are going to have effects on not only you, but people around you. Amazing writing. Also see members evolving into their true passions. Those that are really, really mindset and who are really focused are doing the work. Shaw's going to the studio, putting his energy into the booth and letting that negative energy be something. And everybody else dropping their verse. You got Method Man that's going there and dropping his verse as well. He got family problems and financial problems just like everybody else, but he's come up with one of the most unforgettable hooks of all time. You know what I'm saying? So take this series as a learning lesson. Take this series as I've said in every single recap since season 1. If there's anything that you take from this series, whether you're a hip hop fan, whether you're a Wu-Tang fan or not, please take the message from this series to follow your dreams, follow your passions, and to not let things get in the way. You're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs. You're going to have things that pull you every which way, and you're so confused and you're so angry. But when you wake up in the morning, or when you start over, or when you go back to the drawing board, there's always this moment of redemption and starting over. Beautifully written, amazing cinematography and directorial symbolisms when the character of Bobby is talking to his current self, his childhood self, the self that made some mistakes, and they're all assessing what to do moving forward. Because that's all you can do is move forward. You can reference the past, but you can't live in it. Amazing episode. Let me know what you thought. Make sure you put your comments below. Like this video, please, because your girl be working hard with all these edits. And also subscribe. Share this channel with family and friends. Let them know that it's family friendly. And also follow me on Instagram so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. And you can keep up with stuff that I have personally that's going on. Also, make sure to check out a lot of those shows in the pinned comment. Check out the season premiere of Queens that I just posted starring Brandy Norwood. Check that out. So stay tuned with that. And also, you guys, this Sunday, we have on October 24th, the last season of Insecure. And I will do the reviews of that. If you have not seen the previous season, it's okay. I got you. It's in the pinned comment. Make sure that you binge watch on that season so you can catch up with us in the final season, and you can join us in the discussions and let us know your opinion, how you think it's all going to end. I have my ideas of how I think it's going to end, my prediction. But of course, I think they're going to just completely flip it and do something crazy and piss off a lot of people. Of course, because we have this last season, and of course, each episode is only 30 minutes, and there's only so much you can do in 30 minutes. So I think they're going to go really, really fast, and maybe a lot of people might be pissed off. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Check out that pinned comment. We have Ready to Love, the new season, which will be on episode 2 this Friday. Check that out. Make sure that you catch up. In the meantime, in between time, take care of yourself and each other. Until next time, bye.